How's it going, everybody? Andrew Zarian here, Wrestling Observer Live. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. on Saturdays with Jim Valley. And guess what? It's Sunday. It's me, 6 p.m. I'm here. And man, we got a ton of wrestling to talk about. A lot of good wrestling to talk about, which is always the best part of this. You know, nobody wants to talk about bad wrestling. I guess some people like to talk about bad wrestling. You go on YouTube, you see some people screaming and ranting and raving, and all they do is cover bad stuff. I want to talk about the good stuff. I want to talk about the fun stuff here on the show. And there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about, obviously. A lot of changes to the WWE presentation, verbiage changes. People are coming back. You're already starting to see a lot of these things. It's only been a couple of weeks, and we're only going to see more of this. We're going to talk about that, obviously, and a whole lot more to do with WWE. We had Quake by the Lake, Dynamite and Rampage. I want to talk about that show. Big main event, Chris Jericho, Lionheart. Chris Jericho returned. First time he's using a Lionheart name since 96, 97, 96 maybe? Been a while. Very much enjoyed that match with him and Jon Moxley. We're going to talk about that. You know, did not do 1 million views overall for that show. It's the summer, but we're going to talk about why some people think that may be the case. Also, SmackDown highlights. More debuts happening. Tons of debuts happening. Is it the debut you want to see? That's the big question here. Are these debuts what you want to see? You know what? I think it's good. I think it's different. I think it's a change. Right? I think change is positive. 99% of the time. Change is positive. Especially when it comes to, you know, WWE and the product being so kind of dry the last couple of years. But big stuff happening here. Obviously, more to come. This is the Triple H era. We're going to talk about that. My co-host this week, Matt Ryan from Catalyst Wrestling, is back by popular demand. You know, it's funny. Like, I've known Matt for a while, and you guys, I guess, are just introduced. I got a lot of people wanting him back on the show. They like his insight on older stuff in pro wrestling. We're going to talk about that. And our special guest in the fourth segment, RJ City from AEW, joining us. A lot is going on today. Wrestling Observer Live Sunday edition with me, Andrew Zarian. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
an image of a person you've never seen before. And that is because they are composed of two Impact wrestlers that are either currently in the company or have been in the company in the past. And you basically have to try to guess the two people.
I might be terrible at this, but I'm ready, yeah.
Let's do it. All right, first one up. Who are the two wrestlers in this photo?
Live Sundays. Andrew Zarian here. Excited to bring in my co-host for the day. By popular demand, a freshly shaved Matt Ryan. What's going on, Matt?
Nothing much, pal. Glad to be back. And also, the music today has been tremendous.
Tremendous.
Shout
Nobody
out.
can hear it. We're the only ones that can hear. You know, like, it's so funny. This on the Sports Byline feed, the producers over there do an awesome job of selecting the music. I could hear it. You could hear it. I don't think our producers could hear it, and we're just vibing to this thing.
It just makes me miss the days of when you'd watch old wrestling or even ECW. You get it now. We do it on the indies. We do it at Catalyst Wrestling. But a guy coming out to,
you know, by the way, 43 seconds. That's all it took. 43 seconds. You got the plug in for Catalyst.
Just you wait. I come from the Opie and Anthony School of Plugs. It's like Gatling gun, baby. CatalystWrestling.com.
Thank you.
But that the idea of commercial music, that entrance, like JYD coming out to Another One Bites the Dust, or even Mike Awesome coming out to the Zoo, like there's those iconic moments. And, you know, we see that now in AEW with Orange Cassidy coming out to Jane, and that song's been stuck in my head since they made that
same thing. Listen, he was coming out to the Pixies, and it worked great for him.
Yeah.
Listen, soundtracks, you know, this kind of goes into what I wanted to start this off with. I want to spend some time on Dynamite. You know, it's fascinating that I thought it was, I enjoy AEW more than anything else currently, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It is interesting how there have been some moments that people have, you know, especially since like the last month, people have really kind of fallen back a little bit, and they're like, okay, you know what, this has not been a great month. You know, they're repositioning a lot of stuff here, right? And we're seeing it on TV between Rampage and Dynamite, and we're seeing the same exact thing happen in WWE, where you're seeing people that you normally wouldn't be in these matches or on TV, or haven't been on TV for a while because they got released, all of a sudden showing up. It's like everybody's trying to put a new coat of paint on their product, right?
Yeah, and also you can't expect anything, whether it's a sports team, like we're both New York Met fans, you can't expect everything to be great all the time, even during great runs. Like AEW for the past, I would say 12 months, maybe even extending back maybe 18 months, have been on an insane run and an insane level of growth.
They've been on a run since they started.
But it's picked up, it's ratcheted up more the past few months.
Big time.
Past year or so. In terms of who they've brought in, the caliber of storytelling, the caliber of matches have gotten better, and the caliber of personalities. But even in the Attitude Era, even in the Territory Era, even in the Federation Era, you're going to have periods of time where things are hard resetting or rebooting or resettling because of a myriad of things.
Yeah.
When your top three guys can't work, that is a problem.
It's a problem for everybody, right? It's a huge problem for everybody. You know, you look at last 2 weeks, they did a great job. 2 weeks ago, they featured a lot of younger talent on their product. They kind of, you know, between Sammy and who did Sammy fit? Was it Dante Martin he faced?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it was Dante Martin.
You know, they've done a good job at highlighting a lot of their younger talent, saying like, listen, these are our guys. Yeah, you're here for Punk and Danielson and everybody else, but you know, you have Daniel Garcia's there, and he beat Danielson. You know, now, they are positioning people for the future. So you're gonna have a couple bad weeks. It happens to everybody. It's not out of the realm when you're dealing with New Japan for a pay-per-view. You're dealing with your Ring of Honor show and creating a product for that. You are going to have some shows you're like, okay, this isn't that hot as I thought it would be. But you know what? The last 2 weeks, they've done a decent job at kind of coming back to where they were. By the way, I'm getting a bunch of messages now from people saying, I'm listening on Sports Byline. I'm getting these on Twitter. I'm enjoying the music. You know what? Good for you, because I love it every time they put something on. So I want to talk about this a little bit, because we are now in a very heated moment in pro wrestling. I don't think, you know, AEW coming in and they at the speed that they did, with the success that they did, a lot of people were saying, well, yeah, you know what? This is going to be competitive. This is going to get hot. I think it's going to get competitive now. Now is the moment. This is not going to be, just WWE. Raw is going to, I don't think Raw is going to fall back to the terrible product that it was over the, throughout the pandemic, even before the pandemic. Let's be honest. I mean, I'm 38 years old. I am at the end of their demo, right? I'm at the end. Or actually, I'm their key viewership, right? The older you get, the more you watch. Yeah. The more watched hours happens. But I've experienced their boom period. I experienced the late 80s boom. I experienced the 90s fall. I experienced the late 90s boom. I've seen it all. And this has not been enough to keep me watching live every week. But guess what's happened the last 3 weeks, Matt? I'm watching live.
Yeah, I'm someone who has been burnt out on television wrestling for a few months for a variety of reasons. Just professionally, my life has been on fire. But I'm making it a point to watch Raw, watch SmackDown. I may not watch the whole thing, but I'm making time to watch it live because I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't want to be out somewhere or doing something else and then see what happened at the end of Raw on Monday with Dexter Lumis or Hit Row coming back. There's so many things going on right now that it's taking elements of Crash TV and repurposing it and trying to basically hard reset all of the retconning the WWE has had to do the last few months because of the poor quality that it's been putting out week over week. But now you have on the AEW side of things, they're able to come back with that now. Danielson back, the way that Punk returned on Wednesday, all of the things they're doing to set up to All Out. And Wednesday night, the trios match, the 6-man tag titles, whatever you want to call it, the Three Friends title, the Young Bucks are going to be in action. The Three Friends title. Campeones de Compadres. You have the potential return of Kenny Omega, or even the tease of that. And I think that it's going to turn into a variation of that mid-90s arms race. And if I'm both sides right now, I am building out the next 6 to 9 months in pencil. I am leading up. I am writing up to Double or Nothing. I am writing up to WrestleMania. I am writing up to those nights to see where I can take what I have and find ways to rotate pieces in and out. Because right now, both rosters are insane. They're stacked. They're 80s NBA levels.
You know what? 80s NBA levels? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you have, it's like the Celtics and the Lakers. They're like 3 deep at every position.
Well, hopefully everybody's healthy, right? And next segment, we're going to go into the TV product and things that happen on show. But I mean, look at these changes already, right? We're seeing the more relaxed language on WWE TV, words like wrestling and wrestler are no longer banned. You're hearing about more freedom when it comes to your promo, and this is a couple of weeks. You've had previously released talent come back, a plethora of them. And you don't have the childish 5th grade humor on that show. I'm sure listen, that type of humor is kind of engraved in that company's culture, which I'm sure we'll see. But it's definitely less comedy. Definitely less comedy. This is a company that had Natalya have a passing gas gimmick. I want you to think about that. One of the greatest female wrestlers that company has ever had. From beginning to end, a prodigy. She started wrestling at 1 year old. That's a fact. She told me this, actually. She told me. She said Brett would put everybody in a sharpshooter, like age 1, and if you tapped, you so sorry, you can't be a wrestler anymore. You have someone like Natty, and she was given a flatulence gimmick. You won't. I cannot see that happening ever again in that company.
No,
not because they won't do stupid stuff. Not because they won't do dumb things. Because that is not the humor that anybody except for one man in that company had.
And I wouldn't say just one.
Maybe
honest.
Well, maybe some of those other
2
people are gone.
Yeah, but when you look at the creative philosophy that shifted in the WWE, I think that it's always going to have elements or fingerprints of Vince McMahon on the product. It can't not, because of the fact that he ran that company for 40 years.
Yeah.
For 4 decades, he was in control of the vision of this product. With Triple H taking over, with Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan running the day-to-day, we're going to see more wrestling, and a lot of the changes are already kind of evident, but you're not going to see them until over time. Like, the real change is going to come at the Royal Rumble, because that's who we're going to see who the next guy is. Like, we're not going to know
that's a big
up
question,
until
right?
January.
That's the question we're going into. Who is that next guy? Who will it be? Is it Cody? Man, I hope it is.
It could be. I think Cody's a great option.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre, he's a guy who was a homesteader during the pandemic, man. During the Thunderdome era, there was not many people working as hard and doing as much as him.
I've never had sympathy for somebody. More than I have for Drew.
Yeah.
He was the guy. He was the chosen one. A terrible pick for a title. The chosen one. I get flashbacks of Jeff Jarrett's theme over and over again that just play rampantly in my head.
Chosen one.
I can't do it. However, he just had a bad. He couldn't control what's happening in the world, and I'd like to see him have a really strong run again.
Yeah, no, I'd love to see that happen one more time. I think that, someone in the YouTube chat talked about Montez Ford. I think Montez Ford would be a great option.
Yeah.
So would, bringing in some
Hold
new
that thought.
talent.
I want to talk about Montez Ford. Montez Ford. Let's go to a quick break. Wrestling Observer Live. Andrew Zarian here, Sunday edition here on Sports Byline. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
Oh my goodness. Kurt Angle.
Correct. That's one of them.
Just the suit gave him away. Oh my goodness, this beard. Not James Storm, maybe? I don't know.
No, but it is. You're close with the beard, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Gunner.
No. Oh, that's a close one too. Okay, I'm gonna give you the answer. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
The other person that we were looking for was Matt Cardona.
Yes. The very, very thick beard. I should have known.
Here we go. Who are the 2 wrestlers in this photo?
Well, that's PCO.
Correct.
For sure. And oh my goodness, the goatee should be the dead giveaway, but the eyes should throw me off so much.
The eyes are. I actually feel like I see the second person in the eyes. The color of the eyes, especially a little bit in the nose.
Jeez, I'm terrible at this. I can't even guess.
All right, here we go. I'll give you the answer. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay. The second person was Rhino.
Oh, yes.
You right. See it now, right?
Yes, automatically. That's what I said. I'm just going to be bad at this. Jeez.
What 2 women are in this photo?
Jesus. Deanna?
Deanna, correct. That's one of them.
Yeah, the eyes were a dead giveaway. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I'm trying to guess what the hair could be. We need Jeopardy music in the background.
I know, right? I'm like,
I mean, Taryn Terrell?
No, but you were kind of close. The answer we were looking for was Taya Valkyrie.
Oh.
What 2 people are in this photo?
AJ Styles. Is it AJ Styles?
Yes, yeah? That's correct.
Okay, because it could have been Hornswoggle. Oh my goodness. It's just like a haggard AJ Styles. I'm really bad at this. It's the nose for sure, and the eyes that are supposed to give this away. Is that me?
Yes.
Oh, that's brutal. Oh, at least I got one.
That's why I was dying in the background.
Wrestling Observer Live. Andrew Zarian here, Sunday edition. Joined by Matt Ryan. Hey now, Matt.
Hey now.
Hey now.
We got proper modulation going.
Always. 1, 2, thank you. We're always testing for proper modulation here. A lot to talk about, obviously. I got to tell you, that, we were talking about the shows a little bit in the last segment, but I kind of wanted to take some time and talk about Rampage, especially what happened at the end of Rampage. Dynamite, I should say. We're going to talk about Rampage also. Let me ask you, Sonny Kiss,
yes.
A former Catalyst Wrestling star.
Former Catalyst Wrestling champion.
Former Catalyst Wrestling champion. Sonny's turning heel.
Yeah. Any opportunity for her to get on national television is a great opportunity. Another Catalyst Wrestling alum, Slim J, in the Trustbusters with Ari Daivari. I like the presentation. I like the finding use for very talented performers and very talented individuals. Having a rogues gallery of Sonny, Parker Boudreaux, Ari Daivari, and Slim J, it's a fun component parts piece. And it feels very early ROH, to be completely honest.
Let me ask you,
with
Parker
Slim J
Boudreaux.
there.
Let's talk about
Yes.
Parker. I think he needs Parker Boudoir. New gimmick. Okay? I'm just putting it out there in the universe. I want to talk about Dynamite a little bit here. All right? I don't know why you're. I didn't think I would make you pop as much. Parker Boudoir. You guys don't want to see that?
Do
you know what the image
in
is?
my head.
You know what the
of
image is?
him,
Him doing a George Costanza. Just one of these. That's the image. That's on the
I was
Titantron.
thinking
That's
of
all you
him
see.
in something frilly, and it broke my
course.
brain.
I mean, we all want to see Parker Boudoir happen. I'm into this. I'm cool with it. Let's talk about a coffin match. The second one in what, a couple months? In a month? Whatever the time frame was. A little too soon. A lot of people were critical of this coffin match, but these two really, they got some chemistry going. There was a lot of crazy stuff happen, like Sting's diseased eye. What do you think of that? Do you think he turns to the dark side? All these people have diseased eyes now.
You need the tease. Like, you need something to keep the storyline going. It's the third match, and you're already getting in the coffin match. Like, it's this third coffin match this year, or within the last calendar
It's a lot
year?
of coffin matches, but
yeah.
Hopefully it's the last one for a while. A lot happened. You guys have already heard Brian talk about this. I did really enjoy Rusev's. I was gonna say Russo's promo. I don't know what's happening here, bro. My brain. Talk about that poison. Talk about the diseased eye. I got a diseased bro going now. Miro cut this like bizarre promo, like he was in the dark. I actually liked it. A lot of people thought it was hacky. He did this like promo, and he's like he's being tempted by the House of Black. He got poisoned also. Julia Hart comes in, like touches his shoulder, and he says something like there's only one woman that could touch me like that, and then he like walks off stage.
I like it because it's giving Miro something to do.
Yeah,
and
I love it.
He should be on television, and it's a way to show the power of Malachi Black, someone who can get into someone's ear and convince them to join the dark. Like, you need things like that. You need to expand your universe, and you need to get over Malachi Black being ostensibly a cult leader. You do that a little bit with Julia and Buddy Matthews, but you need that expanding out further and further.
Yeah. I want to talk about this main event since everybody is run down this card a lot. Chris Jericho came out. He came out to Metallica? No. It was White Zombie he came out to, which was his ECW theme.
Yep.
Yeah, see? Look at this. Matt Ryan, you're not the only one that knows all the older stuff that happens. I still got something going on in here. Not only do I remember that, not only do I have this vivid memory of ECW, I got to talk to RJ City when he comes on. Do you know this about me? I get yelled at by every ECW legend you could ever imagine. Lance Storms regularly yells at me, tells me I'm running over time when I'm doing the show. Bubba Dudley scolded me in the Jersey at the Jersey Shore. Scolded me. We were at where were we? Not at DJ's. We were at Bar A. I got yelled at by him. The only one, Taz, numerous times in my life. Do you know who's the only one that didn't yell at me?
Tracy Smothers?
No, Tracy Smothers did yell at me. Rob Van Dam. Only one. He's a good boy.
Well, Yeah, well, and also Rob, and much like many people, you know, a little
He was
more
very relaxed.
chill.
A little bit more chill.
They facilitate their own chill as they were.
I'm making a book. I'm gonna make a book. Top ECW stars that have yelled at me in my life. Chris Jericho came out. Lionheart Chris Jericho. I loved it. He loved it too, man. He was eating that moment up. Coming out, wearing the old school gear, looked great, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the match. You know, I thought it was a fine match, but we got a lot of stuff that happened here. What's your input on this?
I think it was a good match. I think that you put a lot of things, and you put a lot into the basket for this show and for that main event. And sometimes it pays off. I think it worked. I think it was a good move, but it turned into a little bit of a cluster giggle at the end. Kind of, it felt like everybody was waiting around for what happened to happen,
and it did.
And it was a timing issue, in my opinion. I think what necessitates problems is time.
Oh, is that what you saw?
No, I just, you know, when it comes to things like that, I usually blame TV time, because your window keeps getting narrower and narrower.
Yeah, but listen, you got
and
it
when
at
you
the
throw
end.
in, you got it
at the end, right?
And then but the way the show ended, it should have ended with, you know, Mox leaving, Punk in the center of the ring. You go out on that, but then it lingered for a while, and it felt like they either overestimated the time they needed to get everything done, because then it kind of fell flatter and flatter and flatter as they just held on that shot. They're counting down to the top of the hour, and then you have the switch over. It just felt like if they timed it that way, it felt a little weird, and I think it facilitated a lot of negative sentiment.
Jericho's crew came out, attacked Moxley. BCC, Eddie Kingston came out to a brawl. All of a sudden, CM Punk's music hits. I don't think anybody expected. You know, that building was a little I got to tell you, that crowd, for the show that they put on, the crowd was a little quiet until that moment. And they Punk comes out. I don't think anybody expected it. Everybody clears out of the ring. And then you got the face-to-face between Mox and Punk. And you just set up the main event at the pay-per-view. Love it. Yep. You know what? Perfect main. I mean, listen, it's not a surprise, right? I think everybody knew that this is the direction they were going to go. Now the big question is, okay, what do you do once you're here? I think a lot of people have thought about if or maybe or can he or will he heal up? What's going to be the situation? Now you have this. And, you know, it could have been a blessing in disguise, because these two guys could have, I mean, just a historic match between the two of them.
Yeah, this could be an all-timer and
unplanned, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know what the initial plans for All Out were going to be, but we walk into a very interesting situation with this main event, and I'm hard pressed to see a situation coming out of this to where CM Punk's not a heel.
So that's well, yeah. You know how you do it, though. You know how you do it. If you have MJF involved in some capacity, you do that.
If Max comes back, then he's going to be treated like the biggest babyface of the last 15 years because of what went down, the perception of what went down, and how everyone talks about that moment. And it will just be a complete shock to the system. I don't think he'll get booed. I find it hard for him to get booed right now, unless he did something that I couldn't think of a situation right now to where he returns and he doesn't get a pop. And I mean that in a positive reaction.
How do you not?
Not a boo.
Yeah, no. Like in a positive, yeah. How do you not? Listen, I got to pick that up when we come back, because I have a lot to say about this. Wrestling Observer Live, Andrew Zarian here, Sunday edition. When we get back, RJ City joins us. I'm looking forward to this. See you right after this. Take care.
when I was in my early stages of my fights with Cody, there was a moment where on the stage I gave Cody a knee. He fell down, and I told him that this was no longer his house, but it was the House of Black. And then fans, because the camera audio was on when I said it, fans started chanting House of Black. And at that point, it kind of got me thinking. And then later on, it was a hashtag on Twitter. Though I am clearly not the biggest social media lights in the world, it caught my attention. And I started thinking, and I always had ideas, because even this installment of what is the House of Black is something that I did over 13, 14 years ago with similar stables with like the Sumerian Death Squad and stuff like that. But now doing it with all the expertise that I have, all the knowledge that I have with, the experience that I've gained over the course of those added 14 years on top of what I was already wrestling and the success that I had back then, which is ironically the thing that got me noticed to, move towards
Wrestling Observer Live, Andrew Zarian here, Sunday edition of the show. Hey, listen, guys, follow me on Twitter, at Andrew Zarian. Matt Ryan also with me. Matt, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Matt Ryan Yells. That's Matt Ryan Yells, and you can follow at Catalyst Wrestle.
Listen, our guest is here, and I'm so excited for this. The one, the only, Mr. RJ City. Hey, RJ.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
I have to tell you,
having me.
I'm so excited. I messaged you a couple of weeks ago on Twitter, and you have brought such joy to my life with this show that you do. It is the funniest thing ever. I absolutely, I think it's brilliant. It's hysterical, and you have gotten my wife to watch wrestling,
which is the highest honor in the world. If someone doesn't like wrestling, you know how many times when you were a kid and your parents would like walk in on you watching wrestling and you would just be embarrassed?
Oh, I have the best one. I was I'm watching Superstars. It's 1992, peak Shawn Michaels, right? Peak chaps and the glasses and the chest harness, peak. And I'm on my couch just doing like the Shawn Michaels, like the thrust, and I'm screaming I'm a sexy boy wearing, as my mother would call, my John Lennon glasses. And I would just do this little thing on the couch. So you know what? Total embarrassment. I get it.
Yes.
Very embarrassing.
Totally. I said that to Billy Gunn. I said, do you bear any responsibility for what my parents thought about me, that I had a poster on my wall of a guy named Mr. Ass?
Listen, it was all of us.
Oh,
I got suspended 7th grade, last day of 7th grade for wearing an RVD shirt. So
I will say that those old magazines, I had them all, the posters all over my wall. Whatever your sexual preference was, throughout the year, they had you covered. Like,
they did.
They would have Tori, they would have Stacy, and then they would have Bob Holly.
a very sensual Bob Holly.
Yes.
Why wasn't he sensual Bob Holly? That's my question. Why didn't he? I don't want hardcore Bob Holly. I want sensual Bob Holly. Just him and scented candles. A Bob Holly scented candle.
I made someone pop with my John Lennon glasses. Somebody that is very well known. He just said, "You made me pop." So perfect. That made my day.
Is Pete Best is listening to the show?
Pete Best is listening. Well, Pete Best, the fifth Beatle, right? The fifth Beatle.
Well, no, he was the original.
He
was before Ringo.
He missed that date, man. Ringo was in the crowd. They got him. That was it. That's all Pete Best had to do was just miss it.
The fifth Beatle is considered to be Billy Preston.
Yep.
You know what, RJ? You would know this.
Yes,
you would
and
know
I really enjoy derailing Wrestling Observer Live by talking about Billy
you have no
Preston.
idea. I've derailed this entire show. You have no idea. This is nothing like what Brian does.
No.
Brian's not doing the sexy boy dance. He's not doing one of these.
No.
RJ, listen, I have a ton of questions for you.
Please.
I remember years ago, you started off doing these chats on social media. You would do like the coffee chats, right?
Yeah. I mean, basically what happened was I had tryouts with a variety of places for a variety of reasons. Things didn't work out. I was very bored. Everyone was streaming. This is when Twitch kind of first started to gain more traction. And I had tweeted out that I was just going to stream me making coffee in my underwear. and Tommy Dreamer said, you might as well. Everyone else is doing something stupid. So he's the reason that I started doing it. And I thought, well, I'll do one and I'll see. And I've done it like every Sunday now for the past 4.5 years. And then I had insane people on, like Steve Austin and Mario Cantone from Sex and the City. I believe I'm the only show in history to have Steve Austin and Mario Cantone.
That is a
high honor.
Yeah, all you need was Chris Kattan, and now you got like a trifecta there of 90s references, right?
Well, I had David Arquette, but he's kind of a wash.
You had Arquette. This has been a thing prior to the pandemic happening. I was manifesting that David Arquette and I would become good friends.
You believe me, it's not worth the trouble.
I tried. I really tried, and the whole thing, the world shut down and it didn't happen. How did you start the show? Hey Ew, as Danhausen will call it.
Well, I was working for WWE for about 1.5 years, pandemic times. I had some interview stuff. I'd be on the bump. I did the watch along. I did a WrestleMania After Dark special that aired in between the 2 nights of WrestleMania, which was very bizarre. And then a big tide came and washed everything away. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, am I done wrestling? I don't know. I was working on a couple of stupid things. David Arquette was involved in one of them. And just because I wanted to, I tweeted out that I had previously pitched to WWE that I wanted to be a chauffeur on the road to WrestleMania. that was just my idea.
Brilliant.
And next thing I know, Tony Khan, in case you're thinking of Tony Randall, it's Tony Khan DM'd me and said, hey, I love this idea. Do you want to do it here? And also maybe we could do sit down interviews. It turned out he knew my work, which was very bizarre.
Tony knows everything that's happening in wrestling.
It's ridiculous. I always wonder about what is he unable to do that his brain is filled with so much wrestling knowledge. You know what I mean? A brain only has so much space.
There's only so much. I literally have to take things out. I'm totally out. I'm at full capacity. I remove things at this point. So, I mean, that's amazing. So he saw your work and then he said, hey, do it with us. And
yes. And he has, I will say, he's very funny. He has an amazing comedy brain. He's a comedy nerd historian in the same way that I am. So we're like, we're kind of speaking the same language in that regard. What if it was like this? What if it was like this? I wrote up a little pitch and he was like, great. I love it. Let's do it. And I was like, okay. And then I didn't hear from him for a week. And I thought, geez, must have changed his mind or I tweeted something that upset him.
Week is very long in wrestling.
Yes, absolutely. I also have, insecurity issues. And then the next thing I know, I get a call from Kevin Sullivan, not the wrestler, the legendary wrestling editor who has done like The Rock's Chef Boyardee commercial and the old SmackDown Here Comes the Pain commercials.
Not the Satanist.
And sorry?
Not the Satanist.
Not this. No,
yeah.
no, sadly no. And he was like, this is great. And he has known my stuff for a while and was like, let's do it. And then now we're 21 episodes in from AEW, which is ridiculous.
It's amazing because, I found it like a while ago and I would watch it, it's on and I watch it. And then I started watching it in the living room and my wife's like, who is that guy? And I'm like, that's RJ. He goes, oh my God, he's so funny. I absolutely love this. So we just watched the Taz episode, okay? Just literally right before I went on the air, I wanted to watch it. And I have to tell you, Taz is absolutely wrong about Red Hook and Garden City, okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Taz has yelled at me many times. I think you were okay. He yelled at me in front of the Wrestling Universe in Queens, New York, sometime in 1999 or late 98, early 99, screaming at me. It wasn't my fault. These kids were like messing around. He thought it was me. Then I got yelled at by him for my pro wrestling tees shop because my shirt was too similar to his. Got screamed. You know what? My fault. I should not have hired the guy that made his shirt at Pro Wrestling Tees.
Absolutely, the guy knows how to do one design.
That's you know what? I think so. I think that was the problem. and now I'm just telling you, Taz doesn't know these good neighborhoods and bad neighborhoods. Okay,
no.
Red Hook and Garden City, New York, identical. Okay, toughest up the tough. Muncie Park, Manhasset, Long Island, Massapequa Park, all really rough neighborhoods.
Yeah,
this is a guy from Bayside. I'm from Bayside,
Spring Harbor.
Cold Spring Harbor, the
they
worst.
Have children's whaling museum, and you don't want to be
No.
caught in the alley of the children's
Have you
whaling
seen those
museum
kids?
after 11 p.m. Yeah,
It's like that episode of
They'll give you the
Seinfeld. They're
what
going to
for.
rob you.
Yes, yes.
They
it's
just
very,
beat you
very tough.
voraciously. With
Now,
the
Matt, you're
crosshair.
a New Yorker. Do you not agree
Yes.
with me on my assessment of these Long Island towns being as hard as any other city
Well,
in the country?
If the Bagel Boss video and the love of lacrosse is to be any indication, I went to college for a year on Long Island, and that place haunts me and scares me to this day. So
See,
yes,
I told you,
am
very
inclined
scary.
to agree.
Very, very scary,
Very, very
especially the
scary.
Hamptons. You don't want to go there.
No,
RJ, so are you done with wrestling? I mean, what? I mean, this has been an amazing. I personally, selfishly, if this is what you did, I'd be so happy.
Yeah,
if you just made these videos.
It always seemed like, wrestling in a certain sense was a box, and I had more success when I thought outside the box.
Yeah.
And doing this, freed me up. I don't, to be able to do this stuff is so interesting, and to have it like my own corner of the sandbox, I guess, to do my own thing. And it's this weird world where no one looks at my notes, and I don't understand why they don't look at my notes.
Love it.
But I certainly enjoy that freedom. Will I wrestle again? Probably. Maybe on the indies, sometimes you just get a kind of a bug up your ass and want to do it and want to try different stuff. And it's great that AEW allows me the freedom to do that.
Love it.
But if this was the only thing I ever did, and this is the thing that I want to continue making bigger and getting people to enjoy and have more people on. So it's certainly at the present time my focus.
I love it. Go ahead, Matt.
the one thing I love about your show, and a bunch of different things pop into my head, early Conan O'Brien in terms of just the absurdity of the situations you put yourself in, but also very Christopher Guest, because there is a wholesomeness to it. There is a genuineness to the interviews you do and the real reactions you're getting. Even though it is comedy, there is an elevation, there's an escalation. Like you play the comedy, the bits work because there's a progression. And I'm getting into the nerd thing. I need to stop reading
okay.
Cliff Nestor off. But it
love
is
him,
very
by the way,
Christopher
but yeah.
Guest. And it's real brilliant stuff. And I'm really glad that you are facilitated the opportunity to do stuff like this, because we need more stuff like this in wrestling. It needs to be a sport, but if you don't take the joy of wrestling and show it to as many people as possible, a little bit of it dies. You need some of the falderall to make the business grow.
I think it's that Guest way because we only have the time and resources to literally do one take. Somebody
we're going to run to a quick break, but we're going to come back with you. We're going to come back with you. I have a couple more questions. We're going to come back. Wrestling Observer Live. Andrew Zarian here, Sunday edition. We'll be right back after this.
United States, etc. I think in this installment, I think it makes a lot of sense to have a guy like Brody King and someone as Buddy Matthews. They have always been intertwined with me somehow, some way. And I presented the idea to Tony. I said, look, this thing kind of grew wings. And if we were to make this an actual existing faction, an actually existing thing, what do you think about Brody King? What do you think about Buddy Matthews? And he was sold on the idea literally instantly. Julia was an idea that sprung up on us as one of the stories was unfolding, and this thought process that we had that certain elements that I do changes people or influences people, and whether or not that is supernatural, I always let people decide, because I, for the most part, actually don't do anything that would describe as supernatural. I think a lot of what I do or present is psychological, because I find that much more terrifying. The human mind is a terrifying thing, implemented incorrectly, especially. And so we started kind of like messing with this idea of having someone, how do I explain this without giving it away? Having someone thinking that they were influenced because they wanted to get away from something versus actually being influenced, and then in our own way, kind of like, I wouldn't say exploiting that, but using that. And slowly we're moving forward. She definitely has her, she has her homework, and she definitely has to, earn her keep in that regard. And she's working hard, and we keep her on her toes.
Wrestling Observer Live, final few minutes of the show. I want to thank RJ for coming on.
You're
dude,
so welcome, man. I want to thank you and your wife.
Oh, you know what? Jessica will love to hear that. Jess is going to be so
Jessica.
thrilled. Yeah, because she absolutely loved the show. I know where people can find you, obviously, on Twitter and everywhere else, but where can people find you?
On Twitter and everywhere else, just Google RJ City. A bunch of things will come up. You can get my cameo, Hey W's, every Sunday at the crack of dawn. You can buy my coffee and Danhausen's coffee and Ricky Morton's coffee at rootlesscoffee.com. And, I love Catalyst Wrestling, too.
See, he's gonna now that's gonna be on every show. I hope you know that every show is gonna be this clip of you saying how much you love Catalyst Wrestling. RJ, thank you for coming on. We got to do a deep dive next, either this week or the following week, because I have so much to talk to you about.
Let me know. I'll put my swim cap on and I'm here.
Awesome, love it. RJ City, everybody. Matt, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Matt Ryan Yells. That's MattryanYells. You can watch me this Saturday on Vox Media's Combat Culture, as I call UFC 270, whatever the hell it is. And also you can see Catalyst Wrestling Live. That's Sunday, September 18th. Jack Evans, Vanilla Vargas, and a whole lot more. Tickets are available at CatalystWrestling.com. You can also buy VODs at CatalystWrestling.com, including our last show, which was Sabotage, featuring Jack Evans versus Colby Carino for the first time ever, an NWA Junior title defense, and a whole lot more, and me running around trying to make sure people watch the show.
I have to tell you, that plug, nobody heard. Do you know why? All people want to know is that Ricky Morton has a coffee.
Yeah.
That's all people want to know about, is Ricky Morton's coffee now. By the way, I may be at that show in September. Now that I'm able to kind of walk around now with my hip is doing okay. You know?
Yeah, come on over, buy a ticket at CatalystWrestling.com. We'll get you a seat, we'll get you some duck tacos and a margarita, and we'll get that hip healed up, pal.
Thank you. I got to buy my own ticket for a show that I funded all these years. I get it. It's okay. That's how it works.
I was trying to get the plug in, you jabron.
You got it. Guys, you can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Zarian. A lot to talk about this week, obviously. Tuesday, my tag partner, Garrett Gonzalez, is back. I will not be on this Tuesday show. I have a meeting I got to go to. So Garrett's going to be hosting. We're live, pal, on Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, right after Wrestling Observer. Friday, Mattman Podcast is back here on the Wrestling Observer. And, of course, everything else that's happening in the world of the F4W universe and the F4... You know what? Everything is the universe. F4W universe, Wrestling Observer universe. Forget about the Empire. It's all the universe. The galaxy. The F4W galaxy, we'll call it. A lot of stuff going on. Obviously, hey, guys, this is the fun part, right? This is where we all love wrestling. It is going to be really good coming up. I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling both sides making right moves. I'm feeling everybody has decided that this is really serious. The F4W solar system, says Steven in the chat room. Yes, absolutely. Love it. That's what we're going to do. So, listen, like what you like. If you don't like something, it's not for you. Very easy. I think this is my sign-off every week now. This is what I keep telling people. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. Right? Isn't that how it works? If you like it, keep watching it. But at the end of the day, it is still pro wrestling. It is still pro wrestling at the end of the day. Man, actually, you know what? Quick, before we run out of time, give me a match you recommend people to watch, older wrestling. Go, because you're like the expert at this.
I would say anything Flair Steamboat, and if you're looking for something, a whole bunch of fun, Slamboree 1994, Spring Stampede 1994, Cactus Jack versus the Nasty Boys in any iteration, and the 1989 Halloween Havoc. Do yourself a favor, watch that. If you want bad wrestling, Great American Bash 1991 scaffold match. I talked about Steve Austin. I talked about it with Steve Austin, and do that.
That's it for this week, guys. We'll see you all next time on Wrestling Observer Live. Take care.